Hi guys, it's Ona and Dr. Vicky, and it's time for Moonshine. Full moon in Capricorn on July 10th, 2025. It's going to occur at 4:37 p.m. Eastern Standard, 3:37 p.m. Central Time, and I guess up down to 1:37 Pacific Time. It is the full moon in Capricorn. It's a buck moon, an herb moon. It's what other moons they call it? A blessing moon, a mead moon, a summer moon. So I can understand some of the concepts. Time to pick your herbs, right? Or at least knock them down so they can have another cycle,
Gosh, yeah.
right? Mead, make your mead from what you cut off your herbs with, I guess. And blessing moon. So definitely we're sending blessings energetically to whoever is suffering um in any direction we can.
Right. No
Time.
matter where they are
Even
and who,
sending that energy
no
mentally.
matter no matter where or who they are or what
Sending
they believe
energy,
or where they live or any of that.
yep. It creates a vortex. It does. It does. And I think this full moon definitely has that theme of safety with Cancer and the sun, or the sun in Cancer and the moon in Capricorn, security, stability,
No.
and that kind of thing is the feeling. I'm feeling both of those things, you know, all the time right now. I definitely have a Jupiter influence on this day, feeling the ammonia thing happening. So we should look at the chart and see what you think about this full moon, and then we can talk about how we sort of handle these times when, especially with Uranus just moving into Gemini, might have some racing thoughts. The moon in Capricorn can also have a thread of anger. It is represented by the devil in Tarot, Saturn. We got there's some things that you might be kind of pissed off about, and then in Sun in Cancer with Jupiter there as well,
This is
feeling
this
it close to home. It is close to the bone. It is close to the bone.
well, Capricorn rules the bones, right?
Yep.
Okay, here's the full moon. That was the new moon we were looking at. I thought it would be a good idea to take a look at the new moon because the full moon is the culmination of the seeds planted,
Yes.
the new moon, right? And so just to go back
Yes.
to that, this was the new moon. We did this on my channel, Moon Shadows. It happened on the 25th of June. That was a a page of cups day, right? 40 over
Yes.
4. So it was a watery day. The page of cups is connected to Pisces, actually. And we had the sun, moon, and Jupiter in the 12th house, which is an oceanic consciousness. And it was part of this Yod configuration to Pluto. So it was a very irritating, perhaps, and activating new moon. And then so the new moon seed was an automobile wrecked by a train. And I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a little bit like an automobile wrecked by a train.
We literally had an incident like that in Indiana.
That's right. She sent me that.
Yes.
We did this and then on this, I think it was the same day or the next day.
Yes.
Yeah.
It
She's like,
was
oh,
nuts.
look, astrology in real life.
It was true to life. Like, 5 people died in that accident. It was like really horrific. Really
It's a
horrific.
horrific thing. I
I thought
mean,
I had a car, literally. I got the dog out. I got the dog. But that was where this full moon is finishing up, is this time now. So in that 2 week span, in that period.
right. And so the full moon is the point of awareness. And as you said, the themes with this full moon are things like safety, but it's also responsibility, right? It's like who is responsible here? Who is acting responsible? Who is not acting responsibly? Um, you had an incident
Yeah,
just in your hallway.
yeah,
Do you
yeah.
want to share that?
They're tearing up the carpet and they left the tacks exposed, the strips and the tacks exposed overnight. And I addressed it to, the contractor I saw this morning when I was holding giblets and up, like, you gotta, I said, sir, and he came in with, I wasn't here yesterday. Immediately, he addressed the problem. He ignored the problem and he tried to run away. So I said, I don't want to hear any of your fucking bullshit. This is a safety problem. And I started walking away and goes on, I don't want to talk to you either. Kind of thing. But the anger, that I was so angry, and I caught myself in that place where I feel like I need to protect the safety of all the residents on my floor, not just me and my dog, but the girls with their dog and the guys next door and the little lady across the hall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, you've got to let that shit go. But that's what I did, isn't it?
Well, let me point out the Sabian symbols for this.
Yeah.
The full moon at 19 of Capricorn, the Sabian symbol for 19 of Capricorn, which is right around your sun, I believe, right?
Oh,
Your
yep.
sun is at like 2021 of Capricorn.
Yep. Yep.
It says a child of about 5 with a huge shopping bag, premature responsibility. Taking on heavy burdens will accelerate your process of growth, yet it needs to be carefully managed to avoid exhaustion, taking on and managing difficult challenges. And then the sun at 19 of Cancer, a priest performing a marriage ceremony, sanctifying a code of conduct.
Yeah.
Says belonging to a community carries duties of conformity and obedience, which are emphasized by religious protocol and ritual, sanctifying a code of contact, conduct, a code of
Should
conduct.
not be worried about stepping on tacks when you open your door. There you go. Right there. Duties of conformity and obedience were emphasized by, I would say religious protocol and ritual, but there's meaning in that. And I reflected off of it. And it is exactly what the sun and moon are doing to each other. They're telling each other how to be safe. Do you really need to go that far? I think you're being a little bit of a helicopter, person,
A helicopter tenant.
a helicopter parent. And the son's like, well, Jupiter doesn't think that you're being overboard, kind of feeling. I could really relate to this. So I broke out like the sage right away. I'm like, oh God, oh
I
boy.
mean, you want to you want to release that anger. And in point of fact, look at the South Node here in Virgo, of course, conjunct Mars.
Okay.
That's pretty angry.
It's angry, but I think you don't analyze it first, you decompress after.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It's that kind of anger. It's not the one you're like, okay, step back, don't be so. It's a reactionary thing, and then you decompress later on. I don't
Well,
like that.
Mars is the ruler of Aries, right? And we do have Saturn and Neptune in Aries. That's pretty big energy.
And Saturn rules Capricorn.
And Saturn rules Capricorn. So Saturn in Aries is an angry Saturn.
It's an angry Saturn. So this is where I did some saging, and I thought this is how exactly how I want the moon to communicate to me. As if it gets inside my head and things happen. So I'm very direct about how I need to treat this moon. And the sage came up. I did all the saging. Black tourmaline, very Capricorn.
It helps to absorb negative energy.
Oh boy. Yeah, this is the very first piece I've ever had, and I still have it. And people have carried it in their pockets for, different reasons and stuff. I definitely need that to sort of have this full moon cycle go, and then we can deal with what Saturn's up to later this week. Later this week.
Wasn't the full moon, the first full moon of the year on your, like right around your birthday?
I'm sure
That-
it was. I turned 60.
Yeah, you're on the 10th, right? Your birthday's the
Yeah.
10th. Am I
Yeah.
remembering that? The full moon in Cancer was on the 13th. So,
Right after
so
me.
these moons are very for you and for me too. I'm a Cancer. In fact, this combination of you and I
Yeah.
is the Cancer Capricorn axis,
Right. Right.
right? Now, the other thing about this chart is we do have a mystic rectangle in it. And one of the dangers of and it's generally a good aspect because you can create your own reality with it, but it depends on what kind of reality you're creating. And now with Uranus in Gemini, we can really have some spinny thoughts with this stuff. So you do have to monitor where your mind is taking you.
And I do want to acknowledge that that is also occurring. And so if you're feeling like that, like how do you stop it from happening, or, sort of cancel something that you don't want to keep repeating in your head or tasting or whatever? I have diversion techniques for stuff like that.
And we do have the South Node now in
Okay.
Virgo. And so Virgo can is it called perseverate? Is that the word?
Perseverate.
Perseverate.
Yep.
Like Virgo can do that, but we need to let go of that.
Yes, that's
There's a
hard.
certain amount of
Mhm.
moving into the future within a trust. It's like a trust walk. We can't see where we're going. Everything's falling apart. Everything is getting washed away, literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
We have to swim in this. We have to swim in this with love in our hearts, and it's not always easy. Um, you know, it's just not easy. It's just when you look around and you see what's going on
It's
in
not. It's a practice. It's a practice. It's something you have to kind of force yourself to do, to not perseverate, because it's almost like you kind of glitch,
yeah.
right? And you need to learn how to divert yourself from it. I like art. Music has been very favorable. Going outside and smelling the air like a
Yeah.
dog and see what I could find is a fun little game. You know, something that really pulls that song out of your head that plays over and over and over again. That's how I feel like the energies are sort of showing themselves to me or through me right now with this full moon. So things to help you absorb some of the negative energy that you don't even know you're carrying around. You're just used to it.
Yeah, and the sun's in Cancer, Jupiter's in Cancer. Everything is all the feelings are magnified with
Yeah,
Jupiter in Cancer.
yeah,
We're feeling the
sure.
feels big time.
Yeah, yeah. It's still bouncing off of that whole sun, that new moon, really, the Jupiter Sun conjunction. Venus and Uranus were that was the day there was a flood. I mean, you've got to watch that and think about that energy is still kind of buzzing, right?
Yeah, Neptune stationing
That-
retrograde, Neptune being that oceanic consciousness. Um, even though it's in Aries, it's still Neptune.
Yeah.
And Neptune is like I often those transpersonal planets like Uranus and Neptune and Pluto, I always correspond them to natural phenomena. And with Neptune, it's a tidal wave or a flood.
We had a flash flood here last night in near on the south end. And it was one of those things that the rains come real heavy. The
Well,
supers,
we had that on my birthday. I blew out my candles, and the next thing you know, we're in the middle of a microburst and trees are falling everywhere.
it's so interesting though that there's not a lot of water in the sky that the moon is representing. This week we went from like Scorpio and we'll go into Pisces on Sunday. And it's all like wands, 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 but this just like this purging of these earth tears, right? Just like it's like so emotional. It's hard for me to think about the flood.
I know I can't, if it
It's hard for
happens,
me.
yeah, well,
I can't
um,
go there.
I know, I know.
I'll go in there, you know, but I know that it's devastating. And but I think this full moon is just helping us truly appreciate what we have and keeping them safe at all costs, right? And then making sure that you've got a long-term kind of goal. This is a moon where you would think about the next 6 months.
For sure.
I hate that it's midsummer. It's so fast. I know it's been hot, but
Well, the other thing is that the day today is a 20 or tomorrow when we have the full moon is a 26/8 vibration.
yeah,
That is
it's page
the
once.
page of wands. So the messenger of spirit. So you will get some messages. So pay attention to the promptings, pay attention
Yeah,
to what is, and even if there are like these thoughts that are like on woo, 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 even if you have to write them down, it may be that maybe even just writing them down as like, oh, this came into my head,
yeah,
uh, is a way of releasing it.
yeah,
It's like it's almost like sometimes it feels like, well, I know there's the thing where you're your own worst enemy. I know there's that thing, but there's also when you get these messages that just keep coming and keep coming and keep coming, your ancestors on the other side are going, hey, and this is ancestral, right? This is an ancestral moon. This axis is the
mm,
axis of family,
yeah.
mother and father, responsibility,
That is a
security.
thing. Yeah, I do feel that ancestral quality to it, and I think 4th of July that sort of sets off the thing because you think about previous 4th of Julys and ones with your family and immigrants, and I am a first generation.
Yeah, be careful there.
So you just mind like will naturally go in that direction of ancestors. And I do feel like there's definitely ancestors hanging around and the turquoise because that's the veins of the earth are turquoise. And
I'm
it's
wearing turquoise too. We did not
earth.
actually talk about what we were going to wear.
Yeah.
And I'm wearing gray, which to me is sort of a Capricorn, right? Like the gray flannel suit, but
I
it's
don't
not.
always follow the day. Today is a yellow day, and there's nothing I can help you with here.
I don't look good in yellow, so for the most part, just a couple of yellows. But when I had jaundice, I looked terrible.
I
It's
was
not
gonna say maybe I'll
not
make
a good
some
skin
squash.
tone for me.
Yeah, maybe I'll make some squash for dinner, the yellow squash are up.
Mm, yum. Sounds
But
yummy.
I know, I know, right? I know. So I think that's good for this like full moon and how to sort of navigate some of the things that the moon naturally represents, these archetypes. And if you know a little, you know enough that you can, some of these things might come up.
Yeah. And it's a feeling time. So as difficult as it can be, feel the feels, cry the tears, scream the rage. You can't hold it in. It can't be held in.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to be directed at anybody, right? But it does need to be expressed. In fact, I would prefer it doesn't get it because everybody is fighting this, their thing.
And
Everybody,
if this is hard, like this is hard for me to do, and it's hard for it, but it would be a good thing to practice at the right time, is forgiving yourself.
well,
Forgive
that's
yourself.
that's the South Node in Virgo, uh,
Yeah.
uh, releasing the need to be perfect.
Forgive yourself for thinking, oh, whatever, or not, not liking something, or, you know, things that might not, fit the right milieu is, forgive yourself for it, for God's sake. Those kinds of ideas and thoughts always come in. Don't run with them. Just acknowledge them and forgive yourself for having them. The number 6 just popped out. I picked the crow deck and the lover's card.
So that could be, that's Gemini, so
It's
that could be the
It's your
wrong.
Uranus going, mm-hmm.
And of course, that card is about choice.
Yeah,
Let me pull a card. Let me see. I have my, what do you call deck here? Let's see
it's
what I
about choice and it's about contracts and spreading the love. And this one looks like to me, I like it.
Oh my God, you're not going to believe this.
Yeah. It's not a Gemini moon, you guys, but it's a Gemini feels, and it's certainly Uranus and Gemini is something to keep your eyes open for. What else can we talk about with the lover's card? Just, making choices. This is a soul contract. This is a heart contract,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. And it is
Yeah,
Gemini. It is about duality.
it's
It's
duality.
about two sides of things. I think that, I was talking to Ona and said I was having a bit of an emotional expression of a friend of mine who I put something up on Facebook about, the flood and how, who's that, the president is, partially responsible or wholly responsible. Well, not wholly, because it is a act of God and all, but he is Jesus, right? So shouldn't he have an in with God? Anyway, that's a joke. That's a joke, guys. Just a little levity, but she was like, oh, I was wondering how long it would take for people to blame him. And I just like, this was somebody who blamed Biden for everything, including like stubbing her toe. Oh,
Right.
Biden did it, right? And it's like, but he really is responsible for this, right? But then there's
You
that
know what?
like,
Even if he's not responsible, if he is responsible because of the downstaffing, we certainly have a good pattern with something to follow. That's an easy road. If he's not responsible, the response to it wasn't appropriate.
well,
He's going there to
so
what?
that's what responsibility
The
is, right?
response to
The
it was
ability,
inappropriate, and that was wrong.
the ability to respond. Well, let's just,
No accountability. We knew that was going to happen.
we're sending love, frequency, and light to
Yep,
all those suffering.
that's right. Absolutely. Very charging. You guys
Okay.
have a good full moon. I will take pictures of the altar. It's partially set up there and it's occurring tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to get any pictures because it's kind of cloudy right now. That come here, buddy. I know that is the full moon in Capricorn for July 10th. Have a good one.
Take care, everyone. Namaste.